welcome to part 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race recap show for season 9, episode 11, titled Gayest Ball Ever! My name is Taylor the Latte Boy, and I am joined as always by an adorable co-host. From the podcast Instant Gratification, please say hello to Lucas Marie Miller.
Hello, everybody.
Out there in the dark.
Out there in podcast land.
Yes, it is part 2, because we have totally taped part 1 already.
Yeah, and it was great. If you haven't listened, you should go back and listen, because I'm excited to see what happened.
Yes, there was lots of humor and tears and time for reflection. And
plenty of time.
Well, with us and mirrors, there's always time for reflection.
There's always time for reflection.
I am going to say at points I recently and we talk about this on part 1. I don't know.
Maybe you'll have to tune in to find out.
Right, but I stayed with my co-host on pod as my co-pilot Rodan and his husband this weekend for Gay Days, and they were staying at the Polynesian at Walt Disney World, and they had this really big mirror. And I kept catching myself, like, where occasionally I would walk past and do where I would stop, kind of like the thing that Blanche Devereaux does in Golden Girls, where she stops in a mirror and she looks at herself for a second, walks away. And I know I was caught a couple of times, but I can't help it.
I didn't see you walk in. Hello.
So yes, we that's the welcome to my home, right? Doesn't she say that?
Yes. Oh, well, hello. Yes. Yeah. That is probably one of the biggest building blocks of my sense of humor is that video.
Yes. That was I think that was you and I, that was our bonding moment. You sent me a picture of you when you were all of 19 when you started listening to my show. And I was immediately smitten. So, and we got talking, and I think you sent me the link to that. And then that became fodder for many catchphrases that I have said both on my show and in life with Taffy and
there's just so many good one-liners from that video.
Yes, there is. Yeah. And what we're talking about is it's a video called Welcome to My Home that was done by comedian Devin Green, where she is doing a voiceover for an 80s video of a soap opera actress whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. Brenda Dixon, who is, shall we say, cuckoo and
would be accurate.
She's cuckoo in real life, but this video, it's hysterical. And it's been taken down off the internet numerous times due to litigation. But
only to be reposted.
Right. Somebody else posted on Tumblr, or they posted on YouTube. And there's actually she does, I think, 2 or 3 of them with Brenda Dixon. And then she also does done with, Donna Mills from Knots Landing. That's not quite as funny, but I do occasionally say, only I can wear red or black. Or red.
Or black.
No, she only says black once. She says red twice.
And then got it.
And then she
You're
says...
schooling me on Brenda Dixon here, Taylor.
And that's where she gets, could you be more rapey? That always makes me laugh. And I don't want to give away all the good...
hello, amorous Congress stick.
We say that all the time, except for this one.
Except for this one.
Right. Okay, but we're not here to talk about...
being hermetically sealed to a bike.
No, we are not here we're here to talk about the fashions from this week's episode.
Well, I feel like in some of the examples here, that could be one and the same.
Yeah, well, that is true. There are definitely some amorous Congress sticks inspired outfits in here. So this week the queens were to come up with 3 looks, and we decided to break it up over 2 episodes, which I didn't know that until about 3 hours ago, because I had just watched the episode before we started taping on Sunday night because I was gone all week. And when Joe had suggested that maybe we break the show up into 2 and that Luke and I could do the looks, I didn't quite understand why. And I said, maybe we could just sort of fit them in. And all he wrote back was, there's 15 looks this week. And I went, you know what? Luke and I will gladly do a show, just the 2 of us then, because we don't want to give you all a 4-hour episode of podcast. So
I feel like the people may appreciate that, though.
People might. You and I can get detailed. We can talk or not talk for hours about every single dress or frock or outfit. So
I think 4 might be being a little conservative here. I think we could go for a full 6, Taylor.
I could always go for a full 6. Thank you very much. At a minimum.
Set you up and a swing and a hit.
There you go. I love that you get me. Okay. So let's talk about our first look for the night, and that would be RuPaul. RuPaul came out in a dress that was definitely baby blue and lots of ruffles, and I believe it was either a lemon yellow or lime green thin belt. Luke, what did you think about this look? Give us your thoughts, and then boot it or toot it.
I feel like for one of the first times this season, I would actually toot it. RuPaul, and I know you guys have talked about this on some of the other episodes, has struggled a little bit this season with being at the same level of glamorousness and beauty that she tends to be. Like, you look at old seasons, and every time she comes out, it's always like, oh, you are the host of this show. Because I feel like this season, she probably wouldn't make it through some of the challenges that have been on the show with some of the looks she's had.
Damn! Okay.
But I feel like she's finally getting to the point where her wig looks great. She still has that odd, like, platinum thing going on, but her wig looks great. Her makeup and some of the close-ups during the runway looks fantastic. She has her contouring down. It doesn't look too heavy. I finally felt like I would actually toot it for the first time this season. And then the dress is beautiful. It's classic RuPaul silhouette.
And see, I agree with you on some of it, and I don't agree with you on others. I hate the dress. The dress it's too voluminous. It kind of looks like, and we talked about this with another dress that I believe she wore earlier this season. When you see the Barbie cakes, like where she looks like where they stick a Barbie in the top of a cake and it comes like the dome thing. That's kind of what this dress looks like to me. It's not.
Now I can't unsee that.
You're welcome. I love the color though. I love baby blue. I think she normally looks great in baby blue, but all the ruffles, it's just too much. Her hair, probably my favorite hair of the season.
Yeah,
I think
finally,
that the hair was
God.
beautiful, and most of the makeup we had talked, or I have mentioned in previous episodes, that she looked older. The way they were doing the contouring and stuff, it aged her. I thought she looked much younger with this.
Oh yeah,
with this makeup tonight. The only critique that I really have is the eyelashes were a little too thick and or long. There was something about them, something about her eyes that was very distracting, but I thought the contouring with the cheeks and even like the pink in the eyeliner and stuff, I loved all of it. Just if they had tweaked those eyebrows, she would have been flawless from the neck up and a birthday cake from the neck down. Okay.
Well, what more can you really ask for with
RuPaul and birthday cake? That's a pretty good, I mean, really, when you say it that way, it's actually a pretty good show.
I mean, that's a great Sunday to me. I don't know.
All right, so what I decided we're going to do is rather than go through by category, we're going to go through each queen individually. So, and we're going to start with Shea Coulee. So let's talk about Shea Coulee's rainbow she better don't look. Luke, what are your thoughts about this?
So I felt really torn about this one because, as Michelle said, has nothing to do with the rainbow. I get it's graffiti, so it has multiple colors, but it's all kind of just in a gray, blue, and pink tone for the whole dress. And then even the makeup that she smeared on her skin, it looks altogether amazing. I think she looks beautiful. It's just not rainbowy. That said, I think it looks well constructed. It probably is, of the looks on the stage, probably one of my favorite, actually. If it had been brighter and more rainbowy, I would have immediately said, yes, I love it. I would probably give it a toot, though, still, overall.
Okay. And I would agree with you on that as well. I think that I could see that if she had done that if that had been a white dress with neon, the neon colors all spray painted all over it and stuff, and even then the neon paint and stuff, I think 10s across the board. I think that would have sealed it. But the fact that it was sort of all of these pastel tones and stuff, it was a beautiful dress. She looked beautiful. I particularly liked her with the short hair, but it didn't really fit the criteria for the challenge. So, but I will give it a toot. I give it a toot with reservation. Trademark Tale of the Latte Boy 2017. So, okay, so then we have Sexy Unicorn, where she is in a black ensemble and with a straight hair and a black horn. What are your thoughts about her look this week? This look.
I don't have a lot of thoughts. I think she looks great. The most notable part of her runway look for this one is when she comes up into the middle of the runway and goes. I could not stop giggling about that for some reason, and it was such a funny moment, and it just made me like her more. I'm a big Shea fan, and I think she's doing really well. This unicorn look was a fun take on the unicorn to do it in all black.
Yeah,
because normally you see unicorn, it's all like white horn, white everything. So.
Yeah, I think that she was a banji unicorn, so a banji corn. So but I thought she looked great. I did see somebody commenting on the fact that we're seeing a lot this season. We're seeing a lot of bodysuits with chokers, and that people are starting to get tired of that. I mean, we saw that a lot, definitely with Nina, but I feel like we've seen that a lot with Shea as well. So that would be my one concern about that fashion wise, that we've kind of seen this before, just not with the hooks and the horn.
And the horn, yeah. That's true.
But all right, but I definitely give it a toot. Now,
and her makeup looks great, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean I am a big Shea fan as well. I have a really good feeling that there's a chance we're looking at our winner right now. And that kind of goes into the next section, which is her Village People realness, which is she was the construction worker. What are your thoughts about this look?
I felt divided on this look. I think the way she did it was great. I think the silhouette's exactly the same as her unicorn, almost, except for the large cape that she made out of the flannel shirts, which I thought was really creative. But I feel like without that, I don't know that it would have won her any points with the judges. I feel like they all had something to say about this beautiful cape, and the rest of it was just fine. It was just fine. So I feel like it would be not really I feel like it's right in the middle. I feel like toot with reservations would probably be the way I would phrase it. More of a tuh.
Okay.
She doesn't get my oot.
She doesn't get your oot. Well, most of Sacramento can't say that. Many of them have had your oot over the years. That's
okay.
right. See, I don't have the shade button, or we could be playing the shade button right now. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that definitely the focal point of the look was this cape / vest / tunic thing she had going on, and it was beautifully executed. It reminded me, I think probably because of the colors, of Naomi's Scarecrow look last year. That was the first thing that I went to when I saw the colors that she was using. But it ultimately, and I didn't really think about this until I was watching Untucked, I mean, it is really kind of just a men's tank top and a pair of shorts with some thigh-high boots. So, but I thought I loved the yellow lipstick. I loved her hair all done up with the construction hat. So there were pieces to it that I think were very smartly executed, but then there are other parts of it that I'm just sort of, meh, okay. Yeah. But the cape is, especially the picture that we have, is when she's kind of walking and the cape is sort of draping out. It's a very dramatic look, and I can see where people would have been gone.
And I will say that I feel like one of the things I like when with a lot of drag queens who have a really good talent in putting these kind of looks together, it can sometimes be that most of your outfit is relatively basic, and then you have that one piece that takes it and brings it up to that next level. Because without that cape, it would be fine. She looks okay, but it's mostly men's pieces of clothing put together into an outfit. However, the addition of that cape took the whole outfit, brought it up to where it needed to be to get the judges to. They loved it, obviously. So I really appreciate when you see a queen that can do that and bring those big single pieces in that make a statement and bring the outfit up to the next level.
I would go so far as to say that it's probably that cape that put her over the top to win. Because really, when you think about it, had she not had the cape, and had she not had the cape, she would have had one outfit that didn't really match the criteria for the challenge, and then she just kind of had a black silhouette unicorn. If she had just gone through without the cape on that, she might have even had problems. Yeah. She could have even potentially been further down than just not winning.
Absolutely agreed.
All right. So let's talk about these aren't in the order that they were in the show because I just kind of compiled the pictures together, but let's talk about Alexis Michelle. Now,
Do we have to talk about Alexis Michelle?
There's something about Alexis. Oh God, I'm so torn by Alexis, and not in the good way.
You're only torn because you think she's cute as a boy.
You know what? I used to give my fellow co-hosts shit about that last season with like Naomi Smalls and, you know, other, where I'm just like, you're only defending them because they're a boy. And now I get it with somebody like Alexis. I'm kind of like, but Alexis was kind of hard to stand up for this season, this episode rather. So, but let's talk about her rainbow look.
Okay. A boot. I don't have anything to say about it. I think it was terrible.
Well, I think this goes back to that example of on the nose. There's something to be said for playing with criteria, playing with a challenge, and then this is just where I'm going to go to Party City and I'm going to get a Pride tablecloth and I'm going to make it into an outfit. That's Absolutely. What this looks like. And something about the hair with the bandana in it and stuff. And this is a Pride float drag outfit. That's completely. What there's nothing. There's nothing about it that even screams remotely challenging at all, other than to look at.
Well, and I feel like she and it's very clear with two of her outfits, and we'll get to the third a little bit farther down. But it's very clear that she spent all of her time on one of the pieces for one of the outfits and didn't put almost any time into the rest of her outfits.
That's true. That is true. She kind of reminds me, I mentioned before, she reminds me of Charles Busch, but I think that kind of speaks to something, especially with makeup and stuff with her and her aesthetic. There was a group of drag queens kind of in the early 2000s that were like, you have like Coco Peru and you have Varla Jean Merman. And you have all of these different ones that are kind of that comedy queen, but they're all these kind of these big busty personalities and stuff like that. She strikes me as somebody very much of that ilk and of that time period, and that's where she bases a lot of her style on. And this look felt like that kind of perpetuated that, because I sort of feel like this is something that if Drag Race had been on in 2004... this is one of these that would have been, you would have seen everybody doing this. Like there's something very basic about it, but for the time that would have been very innovative because she would have found this material someplace and she would have made something about it. But this was definitely this was a boot for me.
I feel like she could have looked in the mirror and said, "Oh wow, this looks like it could have been like Rainbow Bright drag." Even one of the judges says, "Oh, she looks like Rainbow Bright." Like, take that and run with it. Do you throw more? I mean, I couldn't tell you what Rainbow Bright wears, but go with that.
That's bullshit. You totally know what Rainbow Bright wears. That's totally of your time.
I've never seen it. No, it is absolutely not, Taylor. How old do you think I am?
Okay, wait a minute. What year were you born?
1987. So it was before. It was before my time.
Well, there would have been reruns and stuff on.
I just never saw it. I don't know.
All right,
but I feel like apparently neither did Alexis Michelle, because she could have taken that idea and run with it. Because it's almost there. I feel like there is potential there to make it just not feel so literal. I'm wearing a pride flag, but.
Well, why would she look in the mirror when she would be asking all of her sisters and asking them what they think and then let them... When she said that this episode, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But okay, I'm sure we talked about that during the first episode. We remember everything that was said, but there was just a lot said. So let's talk about her golden unicorn, which sounds like a sex act when I say it out loud, but she had on a gold outfit with golden hooves, a golden horn. What are your thoughts about this look?
I'm going to honk shoe my way through this one because it was so boring. And then her hooves on her feet, you could completely see them like flipping up and see her shoes underneath. I'm surprised none of the judges read her for that because it just looked sloppy. I don't know. I was so not a fan of her looks this episode. And this is a really clear example where it just kind of feels lazy. It's easy. Where she put all of her time in another piece, and she's like, "Oh crap, I need to look like a unicorn. I'm going to throw on some hooves and a gold bodysuit and a tail and a horn, and I'm done." It's good enough. But I boot it. I boot that unicorn right off the runway.
All right. I would agree. Boring. Way too simple. I think that's the thing is that she seems to be focused on the bodysuits. And that she sews them herself, or that she puts these pieces together. And well, as Michelle said during the next look we're going to talk about, that's great. It's still underwhelming.
Yeah, and that was the thing when she on the stage during last week's episode was it was in the workroom talking with Ru. She was like, "Well, I sewed those bodysuits myself," and it was just like, I don't know that you want to advertise that, because you put all this time into these boring looks, and just because you've made them yourself, that doesn't make them exciting. It doesn't make them fun. It doesn't win you the challenge. So
it's almost like where she's thinking about it as a Project Runway thing, where sometimes the look is kind of basic, but if the execution is perfect, you get points for that. And that's not going to necessarily work here in the drag world.
No, people hot glue shit to their own bodies to make it work, to make the look work. It doesn't have to be perfectly executed, as long as when you come out on that runway, you make people go, wow, that's nice. That's exciting. That's fun.
Right. So, well, speaking of exciting and fun, she said sarcastically, let's talk about our Village People look, which was the Native American. Thoughts on this?
I've done drag a few times, well, 3 times in my life, 3 or 4 times. And I'm pretty sure I owned that wig. The wig was so bad, and then the bow randomly on her head. There was a point at which, when she's building this in the workroom, she holds up the bow with the arrow as if she's going to make this like a headpiece. And if she had put the arrow on there, I might be more excited by it. But otherwise, it just looks like it fell off the shelf. The picture we're looking at of her, it looks like somebody in the rafters could have dropped a bow, and it was in the process of thunking her on the head. And then she's just wearing this like stone corset and a piece of fabric. It's just I can't. I have no words.
Yeah, I mean, it almost kind of looks like a bullhorn. And I don't mean bullhorn like you're talking to, but like bull horns. it looks like they're sort of tilted to the side.
It absolutely does.
Just not. I was hopeful when she was talking about, she was talking about the skirt, and you saw the different patterns and everything. I thought, oh, she could do something really fierce with this. And then she came out in this and kind of was like, oh, like I will say this: when she first came in, I went, oh, that's pretty, but then that's not drag. It's something that you would see in a cheesy Santa Fe boutique.
I feel like I was half expecting her to walk down to the end of the runway and ask to speak with RuPaul's manager. The whole like, okay, yes, stoning the corset like that was creative. Taking all these turquoise beads and stoning it that way was a creative idea, but it's not enough to do one creative idea. The other creative idea, she put a bow on her head, so that's cute, but
on her shake and go wig.
Oh my god, it was just so bad. And she came out, and I was just like, okay. It was the moment where I'm like, okay, good, she's going home. Like, there's no chance of her staying after this outfit.
Yeah.
So I think I think with all that said, big boot.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, with all that said, toots across the board.
Harsh critic from the Russian judge.
All right. So let's talk about Trinity Taylor. So Trinity Taylor came out in a black, like, unitard kind of onesie piece in which the rainbow colors were kind of almost more the accent than the focus. It was all black, but she had different stripes that kind of looked like 80s belts with the big holes in them. They were all different colors. So what did you think about this look? Would you give this a toot or a boot?
I think I would actually give it a boot. When I had first watched the episode, when she came out, I was like, okay, great, she's selling it. That's fine. Like, it's not the best thing ever. But watching the episode again, it's just boring. It looks like, oh, I already owned this bodysuit, and I'm just going to slap these. They look like she hit herself with slap bracelets and slapped those on her legs, and that was it. And she's like, okay, I'm done now. It came off with some of the stuff that she's worn. It just came off as boring to me.
See, and I really liked this. I liked this because I like the fact that it's accentuating it's focusing your eye on the bright little pieces versus this big bright over, compared to like Alexis Michelle, that it was so over the top. This was almost like a subdued version of it.
That's true.
And it kind of reminded me, the people who read DC Comics in the 80s, there was a character named Halo, and she had a black bodysuit. Now, it doesn't look anything like this, but go with me. But she had stripes, different colored stripes along the bodysuit, that the black kind of accentuated the colors more up against it. And that's sort of what this reminded me of. And I always loved that costume. I always thought that was a really great superhero costume. So that's kind of what this reminded me of a little bit. I liked it. I would give this one a toot. for sure.
I feel like maybe I'm just a little bit jealous because I feel like if I tried to wear this outfit, it would be like Play-Doh Fun Factory between the straps. So
there's a check for $10 coming to your house if you will send me a picture of you trying on an outfit like this.
I'm sure I got one somewhere.
Atta girl. So let's talk about Trinity's unicorn look, where it was definitely purple and pink in focus with big, fluffy or furry Muppet-like gloves and boots. So what do you think about her look here? I
feel like she looks like a unicorn went to the Jersey Shore. She looks like she's got snooky hair with a horn coming out of it. So I was underwhelmed by it. I feel like it was easy.
Okay, I would say the same thing, except for the picture that we have of her, where she's got this crazy look on her face. I kind of want to make this my new backtop on my desktop, my new picture on my desktop, because she looks deranged in this particular picture we have of her. Yeah, it's not necessarily my favorite. I love those boots. There's something about the boots that I absolutely love, but it's a little boring. The unicorn thing was weird. For a challenge. I have thoughts, but
I thought it was an interesting idea. I feel like they could have presented it in a different way because there's a lot of stuff right now around like the unicorn frappuccino, and there's a lot of stuff you can find online where people are doing like unicorn versions of things where it's like sparkly and glittery versions of stuff. So I feel like if they had played on that a little bit more clearly, it would have made more sense. But I agree. It kind of just felt like slapped in there. It's like, oh, this is a gay event. Unicorns, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, with your comment about how she looks a little bit deranged in this photo, she kind of, to be fair, looked a little bit deranged her whole walk. Like the way she was moving and just dancing around. She was obviously having fun and selling it, but she just looked a little crazy, and I thought her wig was going to fly off at any moment.
So, well, they commented on that. They said that she was trying to sell it, and I think that's the one thing that's keeping me from totally booting it, capital B booting it, but it's still a boot nonetheless.
Little boot.
Little boot. So let's talk about her policeman ensemble.
I loved it. I thought it was this is probably more than Shay's dress, probably my favorite look from all the runway, because it was true to the Village People idea. It's a cop, obviously. She's obviously a police officer. And in a similar vein with Shay with her construction worker look, it's clear of who they were. I don't think that if I hadn't known it was a Village People challenge, I wouldn't have known who Alexis Michelle was supposed to be. Where this is like, okay, she's obviously playing on a cop look. I thought the skirt with the lace was beautiful. I thought the corset was really well done. I think she could have probably taken some of those badges off, but it still gave a little bit of color and interest to the whole look. And then the visor like on her face, I thought was really, really well done overall.
I am torn about this look. I am, because for some of the things that you said, for reasons you like it or reasons I don't like it.
Yeah.
Let's talk from the neck up. I love the hair and the visor and the hat where her hair is popping through it.
Yeah.
I think that is beautiful. A beautiful use of a visor, so like a riot gear visor was awesome. I do not like that there are so many badges and stuff, though I do like that the badges extended up the one collar.
Yeah.
Where I noticed that in Untucked, she had a couple of big stars that went to the collar, but from the neck down, there's parts of it that are really great and other parts that it just looks so cluttered, and you're dealing with the equivalent of like a cotton poly shirt, button-down shirt and tie, plus a leather corset, plus a lace skirt. There's too many different materials it felt like it was very much competing with itself. That there was just so much going on, and you didn't really know where to look, but then you were distracted by some of the not attractive things, and you weren't able to focus on some of the really great things. So I honestly don't know to give this look a 2 to a boot.
I feel like it would be more. I feel like I would have been distracted more if it weren't all black. I feel like if this were, although her skirt actually, now that I'm looking, is blue.
Yeah, her skirt is blue, and that's another thing, is that it was black from the waist up and then blue from the waist down.
Which I didn't even notice that on the show or Untucked. I had no idea until I saw this photo. I feel like if it wasn't so dark, I would notice those clashes more. But because it was mostly black and dark blue, I feel like my eye was not as confused as it could have been. But I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna give this one a boot. A painful boot. How about that?
I'd give it a toot. I'm rethinking my toot. It's a hesitant toot, which was that's actually my new drag name, Hesitant Toots.
Hesitant Toot.
Please welcome to the stage, Hesitant Toots. But yeah.
We were talking this weekend, I think I mentioned it on this show, but that we figured out that on my bachelor party what my drag name would be, which is heavy liqueur. And we were talking over the weekend with Rodan and Gambit. And Gambit is all about heavy liqueur. Gambit wants heavy liqueur to happen. So who knows? Season 10, here I come.
Oh, I would be so happy.
Oh, well, thank you. I know I have your vote at the very least for Miss Congeniality when I go home the first week.
Oh, honey, you're not nice enough to me, Miss Congeniality.
I am so nice to you. Shut up.
I know. You're delightful.
I am a delight. How dare you? How very dare you? So let's talk about Sasha Velour. Sasha's first look is definitely, somebody mentioned color blocking.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. And then she had a little house with a rainbow flag hanging from it on top of her bald head. What are your thoughts about Sasha Velour's rainbow look?
I feel like I want to like it. I really liked the idea behind it. It kind of paying homage to The Wizard of Oz and the house and everything with the little rainbow flag in it. I don't know. I want to like it, but I don't. And I kind of preferred it without the house. When she had that very cylindrical hat on when she walked out, I think I liked it more with that. But even then, I think I still have to give it a boot, which it pains me because Sasha's my favorite, even more than Shea. And I just can't. This outfit, my heart wants to like it, but my brain tells it to shut up.
That's a really good way to say that with this. Yeah, I was, especially when she was talking about how she had something up her sleeve, I was expecting something really great.
Oh, yeah.
And I think part of my issue with this is that it feels like a lot of the colors are not, kind of going back to Shea's look, they're not necessarily rainbow colors. And
they're very
the green
muted.
kind of looks like a dark green, and the yellow is sort of like a butter yellow. You've got this like poppy orange, like all of the colors are, if there was a way that, if you're going to do something like that, it has to feel more cohesive, and the look does not look cohesive to me. It just kind of looks like big swaths of color, and there isn't necessarily, I'm not seeing purple. It might just be the picture that we have, but I'm seeing like pink socks and almost like a maroon shoe. It just was not.
Her shoes were glittery red. They were supposed to be ruby slippers, I think.
Is that what? Because she mentioned something about the Wizard of Oz, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I think it was the ruby slippers specifically, and I'm guessing maybe there was something that we missed too, because even the judges were making like, "Oh, house fell on her" jokes. So I don't know. I feel like
the house literally landed on her head, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I feel like maybe if it had like the little socks coming out of underneath it, it would have been more clear. But
yeah,
I would give it a boot, which makes me sad, but a sad boot.
Okay. Well, let's talk about her unicorn look. She mentioned that when she thinks of unicorn, she thinks of tapestry, so she wanted something that very much felt like a tapestry.
Yeah, like a medieval tapestry, which I think she accomplished really well through the choices of fabric. I see where, before I was given some hesitant toots, this is a forceful toot. I thought it was a really interesting, different take on a unicorn, where most people wouldn't think medieval tapestries, but it still managed to be pretty fierce, and I think with like the blood on the unicorn horn, it was very different from what I expected to see from Gayest Ball Ever unicorn challenge.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my top looks for the night. And honestly, it was her explanation of it that put it over the top, because when I first saw this look, I was sort of like, that just looks heavy. Why would she wear something? When you think of unicorns, they're very light and flowy and and stuff. But when she said tapestry, it all made perfect sense. And I'm just like, yes, that is absolutely that looks amazing. So that is definitely, if not the toot of the night, one of the best toots of the night. Definitely one of the best looks. It's a beautiful look.
The problem with that type of intellectual fashion, though, is she has to explain it. where that could get her in trouble, I think, in certain ways, because when you walk out, your piece needs to be able to say, this is what I am, where you don't have a voiceover in real life. You can't be like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Sasha Velour. By the way, my outfit is a medieval tapestry unicorn. you don't get that. I mean, I guess you could do that, but people would think you're crazy. So I really like Sasha. I think she can get herself in trouble with making those choices that take that type of explanation.
Okay.
Wow, I didn't know my explanation of that was so boring, Taylor.
Okay, well, I was going to edit all that out, asshole, but now I guess I have to keep it in.
You're welcome.
All right, so then we have her look that is a Village People look, which was she got the cowboy, and she's wearing a kerchief dress and Pharrell's hat. So what do you think about this look?
I was when she walked out, that was the first thing I thought was both Pharrell and then RuPaul season 7, because he kept coming out with those gigantic hats, and I hated every single one of them. This is another one to me like Alexis, where if I didn't know she was doing a Village People look, I would think she was a crazy person. But in this case, it actually works. I think she put together something that looked very different and fashion forward, with some really odd pieces. Like it put me in mind. I forget which season it was, but it was one of the first challenges where everybody was given a box of stuff, and one of the queens, and I'm forgetting her name, Magnolia Crawford, that was her name, where she had to put together like a farm outfit, and it looks like this is something she could have done, and she just kind of gave up, where I feel like Sasha was able to, with an editor's eye, put together something really interesting with stuff that in other people's hands might have turned into something really boring.
I would agree with you in that it is interesting and that it is fashion forward. I don't think this is drag, though. This to me feels like this was a Project Runway challenge, and if that was the case, because of it's very. You used a word a couple of minutes ago. There's something very editorial about this look that I think had she been on Project Runway, she would have won. But for Drag Race, there's something about it that I just don't like. I think, honestly, there's part of me that feels like it's too much red. Between the red hair, the red hat, the red dress, the bottom half of the gloves is red. There's just too much red going on. So in that regards, I'm not a fan. So I'm going to give this one a boot.
It's interesting that you brought up the words "it's not drag." I have, throughout the entire run of the show, have always hated when people say that, because it's like when people said Sharon Needles' weird spooky style. That's not drag. That's just weird. And then it started a whole trend around queens kind of embracing that. I don't know. I get where people are coming from, and I get why you and why Michelle Visage said that. It is very fashion. It's not. There's no camp to it, and I think that's what it's missing. It's missing a sense of campiness. I mean, she's got a cowskin glove and cowskin collar, but other than that, it's pretty much just high fashion. But if she had added a little camp to it, I think it might have been. I mean, it might have gone better for her, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about the "it's not drag" comment. I understand where, ultimately anything can be drag if you want it to be. Yeah. And I feel like this show definitely has embraced and expanded the general public. And by that, I would even, everybody's perception of what drag is. Sharon Needles is a great example of that. I even think Nina Bonina is a great example of that completely, this year, with doing different things with her face and that kind of stuff. To some degree, we know my feelings on Nina. But this feels, there's, female illusion, and then there is the camp factor, and then there is people that, she is very much, Sasha is very much all about art and getting people to talk and that kind of stuff. And I feel like in this regard with this, she kind of fails in that because there's something while it is editorial and while it is fashion, it doesn't feel like it's something, this is not something I will remember. I can tell you other looks that she's had over the season, good or bad, that get you talking about things, that get you talking. You know, we talked about the fact that she was doing a lot with boy chest with nipples, and she was doing, you know, where she did the first time when she came out with the neon crown, and she came out holding the different things, and it was very much, it was almost more of an art piece than it was, you know, a drag performance. Not saying that the two can't come together and be the same thing. Whereas this, to me, is just very... It's a letdown. It just kind of, it's an exhale to me. It's not something that I would want to see on a runway. I want to be wowed, and I good or bad. And this is sort of one of these looks that you're sort of like, this is, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So that's kind of, so that's why I said it's not drag to me. But
yeah, totally.
Ultimately, who gives a shit what I think? So,
hey, people care what you think, Taylor. You do.
I care what I think, even if no one else does. So, okay, so let's talk about Peppermint.
Miss Peppermint.
Is she our last look? She is our last look, isn't she? We've already gone through. Wow. It's so weird only having 5, but then we had 15, looks this week, 16 with RuPaul. Yeah. So let's talk about her first look. Her first look, she came out in a gold lame, not a catsuit, but like,
like a one piece.
Like a one piece with a rainbow drapery that goes across her with a bright blue wig. What are our thoughts on this look?
I'm a little bit torn because it feels really easy and safe. I feel like this is an outfit she had already in her suitcase and said, I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to drape a rainbow flag around myself and let's call it a day. On the other hand, I think she looks really great. I think the wig looks good on her. I love the bright blue wig. I like the way she utilized the rainbow in it, and I feel like it just looks really beautiful on her. I mean, that said, it is really easy. I feel like it's something she already had in her trunk and said, okay, well, I'm just going to wear this one.
I would agree with that. I wish we had a picture of the back, a better picture, because I think that would have changed things, where she almost had this, like, not bustier, what do you call it? A bustle? Where I feel like there was a bustle of rainbow colors behind her. And then but I am team Peppermint. I love Peppermint. Peppermint usually can't do wrong. We'll talk about that soon. And I was, so did you give this a boot or a toot?
I give it a toot, I think. A toot with some reservations, but overall, with some of the other things that came down this runway during this episode, I think this by far outstrips some of them, despite being easy.
All right. Yeah, I give this one, it's a safe toot.
But, she didn't put a bunch of stones on a corset, so...
Yeah, it's yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the unicorn look.
It's just not good. I love the idea. When she walked out, it was one of those where she had to explain it again. She was like, oh, I'm a space unicorn. Because without that, I wouldn't have known you were trying to be spacey. Despite some of the challenges she faced in the construction and pieces of it being really baggy, I just don't think it was a well thought out idea. Like, if you're going to be a space unicorn, have like a bubble over your head with a unicorn coming out of that. Like, do really kind of camp up the idea of like the space suit plus a unicorn in it. Yeah. The weird spiky headdress thing that she had on just didn't say space to me at all.
Yeah, it was just an oddly put together look, and probably one of my least favorite looks of the night, honestly. And we didn't even talk about the fact that she said it kind of was not fitting right in certain areas. It was baggy in some places, and it just was not. I was kind of disappointed. I was looking forward to when she was gonna do a unicorn look, and when she came out, I kind of went, "Ow."
Oh yeah.
So, but then
it feels in the same vein to me as where it was very clear that Alexis Michelle spent all of her time stoning the corset. I feel like because Peppermint decided she was going to alter all of the leather pieces and create this kind of dominatrix leather biker look that we'll talk about in a second, I feel like she neglected her other two outfits.
Well, she certainly didn't neglect the leather outfit, which is what we're going to talk about now. So she came out as the leather man from the Village People, and what are our thoughts on that?
I loved it. I thought she killed it. Her attitude really sold it even more than the look itself. But it was creative. I thought it was well done. It looked great coming down the runway, and her attitude on the runway was perfect. I think, like, pointing at Carson and just the way she was holding her and carrying herself, I thought it was great.
It was my favorite look. It was my favorite. This was the one that when she came out, I gasped. I did the happy gasp. So because I was a little worried with the first two looks, but this one was this was my favorite look of the night. I loved it. I loved the attitude. I loved the pointing with the riding crop and the chain and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, she is somebody that she's a beautiful queen, and to look that confident and that tough and kind of like nasty, but there was something about it. She was sexy. There was something sexy about her. The leather scene is not my thing, but there's something about this that I was very like, I'd let you tell me what to do.
Bring out that riding crop. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it was great, and like it was the look itself was really well done, but it was, like you said, it was that sexy attitude, and you could feel it coming off of her in waves. Just that she knew what she looked like, and she knew she looked good.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Great. Yeah, this was awesome. So, and that's our looks for the week.
Yay!
So, yay! Well, that concludes part 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race recap. So we want to thank Luke Miller for sitting in today as guest co-host. Thank you so much, Luke.
You're so welcome. Anytime.
So please make sure to download Luke's show Instant Gratification wherever you get your podcasts. Wherever you can find it.
I swear a new episode will come out eventually.
Yeah.
We just took a bit of a break. It's fine.
A little bit of a break, 2-3 years. It's fine.
It's only been like a year and a half, Taylor. Don't exaggerate.
Has it really been a year and a half?
Yeah, it's been a while.
All right. Well, but you're coming back.
Oh yeah, we're trying to set up our next taping. All of our episodes are still on iTunes. So I'm sorry, on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, is it not called iTunes anymore?
Apparently, I think Apple is pushing for a change to how it's called. I don't know. A number of podcasts I listen to have been saying that. So.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, iTunes.
We still say iTunes, but our show's the equivalent of, you kids get off my lawn. So
old man yells at cloud.
You're lucky we're not trying to tell y'all to become one of our, top 8 on MySpace. So
God, I miss that. The power you held.
Would I have been in your top 8?
Yes, Taylor, you would absolutely be in my top 8.
That was the right answer. If you ever want these episodes to see the light of day.
I've known you for almost 10 years, Taylor. I know that that's the right answer.
Yeah, there you go. Atta girl. So for Joe Batance, Luke Miller, and myself, do you want to do it?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sashay away until next week.
Woo!
Woo!
Want to know what Taylor the Latte Boy is up to at all times? He has his own podcast called Pod Is My Co-Pilot, available on iTunes and at podismycopilot.com. You can follow him on Twitter at PIMCTaylor and also on Instagram at PIMCTaylor. I have another podcast called Catching Up. It's available on iTunes and at cupodcast.com. You can also catch me recapping RuPaul's Drag Race on One-on-One with Larry Flick on Sirius XM Radio every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on Entertainment Weekly Radio, Channel 105. Need to see what I'm eating? Follow me on Twitter at Joe Batance. That's Joe-B as in boy, ETANCE, and on Instagram at Joe Batance.